Hello everyone, good morning. This is Rowan from Flourish Coaching. I just wanted to come on today to speak and give a little bit of advice to parents specifically this morning. So I'm going to give 3 tips for parents, particularly parents who have SEN children. It's particularly useful for. So what I'm going to recommend is, if you've seen my previous video to this one, you'll know about the having a mindful approach to your conversation. So I'm recommending that you do that in your approach to arranging this conversation with your child. So getting ready for it, planning it in advance, thinking when's the best time. Is it when you're picking them up from school, you've got them in the car? Is it when they're at home? Is it the weekend? Is it in the evening? So planning that in advance and getting ready to be mindful and to be present for it. So then the next thing that I want to go into is my 3 tips for you parents then to make the best of this situation for your well-being and your and your child's well-being equally. So number 1 is location and proximity. So the location you pick is important. As I was just saying, it could be in the car, it could be at home. Proximity is really important, so no being direct head to head, face to face. Not a good positioning ever for this type of situation. So certainly side by side is brilliant, can be really good, like when you're sat in a car, if you had somebody facing forward same way that I'm facing right now next to me, would be a great situation, especially for a teenager who finds eye contact quite intense and would prefer a more relaxed positioning. Feels more relaxed and more natural in that way, more comfortable. Or perhaps you could be at a 45-degree angle to each other. For example, if you're sat at a square table or you're sat at a round table, you could be corner to corner with each other. But again, avoiding face-to-face, head-to-head. So then second tip will be making sure that you're listening. So being ready to listen to that person. So not focusing on what you want to say at all, even though you're dying to say several things. Really put that behind you and really be ready to focus on what they would like to say. Maybe let them start off the conversation. Allow some silence, allow that to happen. Or perhaps have something in mind that's going to allow them to open up a bit. Don't just ask a question that's going to be a yes or no answer. Ask them their thoughts on something. To open up a conversation with them. Okay, so that's about listening really carefully. While we're listening, we shouldn't be speaking at all, so don't interrupt, and really be ready to be present while you're listening, and really try to focus on everything they are saying, on what it is they're trying to say, how they appear when they're saying it. Really try and take as much meaning and focus on what it is that they are communicating, and just be ready to really absorb that. Okay, and don't be ready to jump in and say something. If you have asked them a question, be ready to wait for them to answer. People don't give each other enough time. If they really value this time and you're valuing the time, allow them the time to think. Especially if you have a SEN child, they might take quite a long time to answer you. And just because they're silent at first doesn't mean they're not going to answer. So please give them time. If you ask something and it's silent, don't straight away say, come on, keep on with it. Just be patient, show them you're there for them, and just allow them time. If it's been several moments, it really goes on quite long, you could give a prompt. So for example, you may have said something in quite a confusing way, and that may be confusing and taking them longer to answer. So it might be necessary for you to ask in a slightly different way, or to just check that they're comfortable with the situation, and that they're just perhaps thinking through what your question was, so you can clarify with them. Okay, so my third tip is going to be really important, is the way that you allow what they've said to land. So that means how you're going to absorb it, how you're going to respond to it. So I would say get ready to acknowledge whatever it is that they've said in the most positive way. So don't go in with a correction. Quite often as the adult and parent, we want to go in and correct our children right away and improve their view or their knowledge. Let's avoid that entirely 100%, and let's really try to acknowledge what they've said. So think about creative ways in which you can do that. Whatever they've said to you, you'll be able to do this. So for example, you could say, wow, that's really interesting to hear your thoughts on that. I'm glad you shared that with me this morning. Or you could say, wow, what an interesting thought. It hadn't really crossed my mind yet today. Let me just give me a moment to think about that too. Or it could be, oh, I love to hear you articulate yourself so well while you're explaining that. That was brilliant. So you really think of something positive to say, but also try and make it focused on what they're talking about and acknowledging it. Don't just ignore the point of what they've said. So then go on to clarify that, to say something specific about what they've said too. Perhaps ask them another question about it to show your interest. One of the best ways to respond is allowing it to sink in for you, and perhaps then asking another question to them about it, showing an interest and keeping on that topic, even if it's about a band that you're not interested in, you don't like the music of. It's not about the topic, it's about the moment, it's about sharing life and the joy together. It's about the quality of the connection and the relationship and giving time for it. So please try this out. Let me know how you get on. Thank you very much. And that's my 3 top tips for parents during your next interaction or conversation with your child, especially if you have SEN children. It'd be very helpful. Thank you.